actually, I want to go back to something that you just touched on there is, you know, the state of the tour right now. So we obviously have a lot of guys that have gone off to LIV now, and we had the event in Bangkok last week. They're playing in Saudi Arabia next. Where do you think the tour is at with someone like Tom Kim being able to step up and really fill one of these kind of big key player roles?
Well, one thing is becoming very apparent to me, Diane, and I certainly have a lot of experience of judging the tour as I played on it for 30 years. Mm-hmm. There has been a lot of top players gone to LIV, and it has left a hole, and it has also given an opportunity to these guys like Tom Kim to steal a bunch of limelight. It also has become very apparent that the tour is struggling with fall ratings, tournaments in the fall, and there's a big scramble, you know, with sponsors right now. Who's going to be elevated? Who's going to get taken up to this $20 million events that we promised, or the tour players are promised next season, whether it's the Los Angeles Open at 20 million. And all these smaller events in the fall, they're just getting wiped out on TV with football. It's one thing for Rory and JT and Spieth and all these guys to say, hey, you know, we're all about the tour, but we don't see those guys. They don't play. We may not see them until Hawaii in January. Of course, I'll play Tiger's event, small event coming up. But interestingly, Eugenio Chacarra, who won on the LIV Tour last week, for those that don't know much about that young man, came onto the LIV Tour out of Oklahoma State. Our big rivals in college golf, Diane, back in the day, Oklahoma State that was, between us and the University of Houston. Chacarra had a tremendous week. We would probably be talking about him as probably in the same breath as Tom Kim. It's a very odd time. He beat a tremendous field of LIV players, something like 20 under par over on this very difficult long golf course in Bangkok. And now all of a sudden we're not talking about Chacarra, we're talking about Tom Kim. They're both, worthy of our conversation. Chacarra could be the next Seve Ballesteros. We heard John Rahm when he won in Spain congratulating Chacarra on his victory. During his victory speech in the Spanish Open, I thought was very interesting, Diane. And also Seve Ballesteros' daughter was there, almost made me tear up watching Rahm win his third Spanish Open, particularly with Ballesteros' daughter standing with him with the trophy. So very interesting week of golf. LIV Golf is now moving on to Saudi Arabia. Now we, the tour, are moving over to ZOZO in Japan. Very different conditions in Japan. Whenever we think about going to Japan, I know your brother's there, and you're going to give us a little update on what he sees. But when I went to Japan, the land is so valuable over there, and there's so many people that it's always a small, narrow course with a fair amount of dog legs. I'm looking behind you there. They have 2 greens. Sometimes it's summer and a winter course. They're going to change them back and forth a little bit this week. This, of course, is the absolute course that Tiger Woods won his ZOZO Championship. Of course, Matsuyama will be there this week. If I had to think of 3 tournaments that Japanese people love the most, number 1, it would be the Masters. Number 2 would be the Hawaiian Open. Mm-hmm. And number 3 would be the ZOZO. And Matsuyama, talk about a hero, he's won all 3 of those, Diane.
Yeah, amazing. Going back quickly, I mean, I think when you put the rivalry aside between the PGA Tour and LIV and all this hatred and animosity that is on social media, especially on Twitter right now, people are seething. They're taking one side or the other, and it's very hard to kind of be a little bit neutral in the middle. But what a great week for young golf. Tom Kim, 20 years old, winning on the PGA Tour for the second time, bogey-free. Eugenio Chacarra, as you said, winning the LIV event in Bangkok, you know, beating some of the world's best and walking away with $4.75 million fresh out of college. I mean, it's so encouraging just to see these 2 young guys at the beginning of their careers and thinking what they could possibly achieve in the future. I think just putting all the animosity aside, as I said, you just have to celebrate what these 2 guys achieved.
Well, when I look at Tom Kim, I just can't believe how much poise he has. I was watching, I watched a little bit of the golf on the front 9 to check in on my picks. Diane of Neesmith was playing with with Cantlay and Tom Kim, and I watched them play the 9th hole before I went and did something else. But the poise that it takes to be a really young player and go out with the lead in a group, you know, on TV on a Sunday afternoon and hold your position. Not only that, but get out in front. Tremendous amount of poise for Tom Kim. He's got a beautiful swing. I mean, he quite powerful, really good putter. He played the tournament without a bogey. I mean, give me a break. Very consistent. And then when I look at Eugenio Chacarra, he's got one of the most dynamic, natural swings. He just loads the club, so unreal, long hitter. He does putt with a sort of an anchored or non-anchored stroke with his putting. He's had a bit of trouble there, but just incredible. Another Spanish player that's coming through that, I remember when I saw Ballesteros. I remember when I saw Olazabal, all these guys, Rahm. They're so natural when they play the game. Tom Kim has a more of a sort of a, I don't want to say robotic, he has a beautiful rhythm, but it sort of comes out of a more of a sort of a very orthodox looking swing action. He's probably learnt his swing at a very young age, but so much poise. You can't measure either one of them by their swings. You've got to measure it from what's inside. And Tom Kim, he's something else right now to win on the tour, his second start. Yeah, and you mentioned a key point. You know, there's still a lot of talking about the LIV event that has no cut, and now here we have a tour event that has no cut. It's very contentious. It's very grumpy and cranky between the two. LIV is trying to get points. They joined with the Mana Tour last week, Diane, an African tour, to try to get them affiliated with a already official world golf ranking tour so they can get points. There's even been talk this week that they may have a cut in Saudi Arabia. They may cut 48 to 45, I read already. So They are desperately trying to protect their players. Will it be fair if they don't get any points at all? Will it be fair that we won't ever see Chacarra maybe in the Masters? And people are saying, well, he knew what he was getting into when he signed up. But I will say this, if I was a college player, and I was a good college player, we won 3 national championships in Houston, and LIV came knocking on my door. I don't have any affiliation with the PGA Tour or any other tour. Would it be the right move for me to go to LIV for a little while? Now Chacarra has $4.7 million in the bank. He could finish his contract with LIV, or he could stop at LIV at any point and go join the tour. So what is your opinion on that?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. And, you can't knock it. This young guy has literally finished college, turned pro, and now he has a check for $4.75 million. And not only that, but his name is known. I mean, people are obviously interested in LIV, talking about LIV. I didn't get to watch any of it last week because obviously the time difference in Bangkok. But
yeah, I didn't see a shot.
The thing that kind of the world ranking issue, I think, we'll follow it and we'll do a show on it and really dive in. But I think about someone like Cam Smith not playing the Masters, and he's come close a couple of times before, loves the course, plays well around there.
Cam Smith is exempt for the next 5 Masters. He's exempt for all those majors for the next 5 years. If he's allowed to play. Yeah. But someone like Eugenio Chacarra, a young guy, should he be starting to gain points now, Diane, like Tom Kim is, and start to work his way towards some sort of eligibility towards the majors? I personally think so. I'm okay. I mean, is there a scenario where the PGA Tour, Rory McIlroy of all people, has already asked for a truce and a sit down? Is there a scenario, Diane, where the Tour and LIV sits down and says, okay, I'm just going to throw one out there because I get asked this question every day. Tour says, okay, LIV, you go and have the world. You play your 12 events or 14 events in the rest of the world. And if the LIV players go over there and play, they have to come back here and play 12 on our tour. I mean, is that a possibility, Diane?
I don't know. And I think from what I've read and heard, Jay Monahan and the PGA Tour have shut down any sort of communication or any sort of conversation where they could maybe meet in the middle. But we don't know what goes on behind closed doors, and things are evolving all the time. So I think we're going to have to find some level of harmony at some point.